Thought I'd do a video and let everybody know I'm still alive. Let me log in. Here I am. I'm on. No idea what I'm going to talk about today. But I don't think I ever have an idea of what I'm going to talk about. I just go. Let's see. All right. We had a bad winter last year, so I think a lot of people are hesitant to buy my snow clearing, the residential side of things. Commercial side, we're booked pretty much full. But my residentials, not so much. So I'm trying to do things, I'm like, I cut, um, some work. Well, I don't know if I cut workers. I just have less workers, for the residential side than I have had before. Um, so although you know what I mean, it's still early, so things could change, but I'm trying to be like, well, if we've got less residentials, I'm not going to try and like stock my team up in case it happens, even though it could happen, right? Like we could get, like, if we get a bunch of sales now, okay, fine. I'll be prepared for it. I'll get more workers. But if they're going to call like in the middle of like the last week of December, first week of January, I already talked to my ops manager. I think that we're just going to like just try and make it work with our plow guys. So we do have some shovel guys, of course, but we do cover the whole county, so it's kind of hard to, if like, we got a route in the south end of the county, and we've got, another 5 to 10 houses on the north side. Makes it a little hard to get there. So I don't know. I'm not gonna overthink it like I always do. You know what I mean? I'm just like, you know what? The thing is, it is supposed to snow like next weekend. So that'll be a good tell whether or not people call for that. We are trying to get new customers. What's up, David? We're trying to get new customers, so we're offering like this crazy deal, um, and nobody's accepted it. And it's like such a good deal. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those deals where you say, all right, what are we willing to like give away for free to get more snow customers? And we gave away what I felt like is a lot. What's up, Penguin? And next thing you know, nobody accepted anything, and it's been a few days. So I'm just like, that's weird. Um, but like I said, I'm not gonna worry too much about it. I got so much stuff going on with the city and got to get the yard up to code that pretty much everything else is just like small potatoes to me anymore. It's like nothing really phases me too much right now. And the good thing is, I'm handling that city thing pretty good, pretty decent, um, to where everybody's happy, the city's happy, I'm happy. I don't know if my engineer's happy because they're just constantly doing more work with the city requirements and stuff. So I don't know, but they're pretty happy. I'm happy. So I'm going into winter. By all accounts, probably more prepared than normal, um, because I don't know if I made a video in a while, but back in June or July, um, things were so tight financially that I made like some drastic changes to my accounting back in June and fully implemented it by July. And with the mindset of, oh crap, how are we going to get through winter if this is how it is during the peak season? You know what I mean? So since then, I've been kind of making moves to make sure that my winter is smooth. And it's going pretty good. It's going pretty good. So it'll be interesting to see how we do, like in middle of January is probably when I'm going to be the most, unless we're totally funded, which is what I'm trying to do, right? You want to be funded at the beginning of the winter season. So basically December. It would be really nice if you could look at your bank account and go, okay, I've got this money allocated to pay the bills. So I'm not going to touch that to pay for gas, to buy salt. That's just to pay my bills, fixed bills, you know what I mean? And then I've got this money set aside to pay everybody for the whole winter from December, January, and February. At least that's what I call winter. And if you had those two accounts fully funded, and then the money you make with plowing can pay those running expenses like gas, salt, whatever else you need, materials if you need them during the winter time. Paying extra, right? There's going to be overtime stuff that might not be factored into your payroll, but if you look at last year's income of payroll of what you spent for those 3 months, if you have that same amount in this year, you'll be in a really good shape. And that's what I'm trying to do. So that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm feeling pretty good about how things are going so far. I still have, because we do still do landscaping, garden work in December. So I will still have money coming in. And that was something that my office manager pointed out to me the other day. She's like, did you factor in that we are still working in December on, not everybody, but we'll be making this much revenue in December from actual garden work still. And I was like, no, I didn't factor that. It's kind of funny how like there's so much going on. You might think you have everything figured out, and then somebody will say, hey, what about this? And you're like, oh crap. How did I not figure that out? So you'll be in an even better spot if you have that money at the beginning of December from what you paid last year, January and February, and you're still going to make revenue in December. You're going to be in a really good spot. And I guess that's what I'm trying to do after I figured out that we still have that income coming in, assuming it doesn't just start snowing. And actually, if it snows right at the beginning of December, we'll have a better year. We will actually make a lot of money if it snows a lot. And that's been the case for at least 3 years that we've been like full force of snow, 7 plows, 7 plow guys, multiple residential shovel guys, and waiting for snow, dude. If it actually snowed, we could have our best month. Our best months could be December, January, and February if it snowed. If it snowed like 3 times a week, which I know that's a lot in some cases, that's probably not a lot in some areas of the United States, but here, and actually there are some areas in Utah that snows every day, and I hear about them. Right? It's like I hear how good are they doing? Oh, they do that much money, like. And that is a topic that comes up every once in a while, right? Somebody will say, "Hey, why don't you just move to Sundance for the winter time? Why don't you move to Park City?" And it's just like, dude, it's just not that easy, right? Like, it's not that easy, especially because we're good at like plowing businesses and residentials, which is what we would do over there too, probably, but it's more intense. You have to haul away snow. There's so much. Like it's a longer shift, right? It's like some of you guys know, right? You guys work what, 48-hour shifts sometimes. It does. That's very rare here. Like never happens here, at least in my area. So me and my guys are not used to that kind of that. We don't know what that's like. So if we were to like da da da, let's just go over there and try and do snow removal with the big boys, we would probably get crushed because we don't. Nobody lives out there. None of our guys live out there. We don't have the equipment to handle, three nonstop days of plowing and all that stuff. We don't know any of those areas out there. So it's just like, and you know how it is. People will come up to you and go, "Yeah, it's that easy. Just move over there. Like move there in the wintertime and crush it. And you'll be making a killing." It's just not that easy. Not only that, I mean, I've got like thousands of customers here that obviously for the snow removal, we don't have that many customers. So we got 100 customers here that are relying on us to do snow, that are our regular customers that help us, through the whole regular season. I can't just ignore them, you know what I mean? And it requires all my guys to handle those people. So it's just not realistic for me to go, okay, I'm just going to move out there. I'll move to Park City just for the winter time and get this done. It's just not going to happen. So, but if it snowed here 3 days a week, we would literally make probably more money. It'd be our best months, and that would be insane for us. If December, January, and February were better months than the other months, it's like such a crazy thing to say and to like imagine how strong we would be if we made the same amount of money in those 3 months that we do in 3 months on the regular season. We could probably fund the whole year bills, the whole year, not payroll, but just bills, and that would be amazing. That would be amazing. That would literally change so much. So what steps I have tried doing to, since I know that if we have a great winter, like it could change everything. And I realized that a while ago, right? Like 3 years ago. And that's when we made a push to get all the plows and all the trucks and get better trucks to, we didn't get the better trucks just for snow, but we knew that if we did, it would help the snow clearing division. So that was a factor in getting new trucks and all that kind of stuff. 4-wheel drive trucks in the summertime doesn't seem like it makes sense, but since we're going to use those trucks in the wintertime, it makes a lot of sense. now that we're here in the wintertime, or at least starting. Um, Me and my ops guy, we're like making plans with the trucks and stuff, and it's really cool that we have backups. You know what I mean? So so once I realized that we could do that, what I tried doing was getting the revenue to be up every time it snows, right? So like if we woke up and there was snow on the ground and all we had to do was plow everything, I wanted to get that up to about 20,000, 25,000, 30,000. That would be amazing. Imagine that. You wake up, everybody plows first thing in the morning, and you now have 20 to $30,000 in, either you can charge it right then and there, or you have that in accounts receivable, right? So once I realized that, that's a possibility, that's when I got the plows, and basically we're kind of a year-round business, kind of, sort of, because we do pay roughly 15 people, yeah, about 15-ish people through the winter. I mean, that's a lot of people. So, but we don't really call ourselves full year-round company because it just doesn't snow very much. But if it did, we'd be, dude, yeah, we're year-round. And if we could plow, imagine that if we plowed 3 times a week, be 60 to 90,000 bucks a week with a small team. That's amazing. So, but it just doesn't. That doesn't snow. It doesn't snow that much. Like, man, I wish it did. And the thing is, it when I first got into landscaping, back in 2010, it was snowing a lot, like every other day. I'm not kidding. Like, I remember it was just me going out there with a truck, just me, and I was going out like every other day. And I was doing really good for myself. I was paying the bills. I had this big account at the time. I think it was like 700 bucks a push. Um, and for me, when I was by myself, and I inherited that account from another landscaper who sold me their truck and plow, and part of their sell to me to buy it was, look, I'm going to give you this account that you can charge this much every time. And that's where I've got my pricing from. That was really a cool thing. That was a great investment that I put in a long time ago to buy that truck and plow, because they gave me a property that was big. So my first property I ever pushed was giant. And I was able to like base all my prices off of that one at an early stage. So it wasn't like I was lowballing at first and then 3 years later realized, oh man, I could be charging this. No, I was already charging good, because we figured out the rate matrix, right? So I figured, I don't remember how many square feet that property was, but we divided it by square feet or whatever, and then it was like, boom, now we got our price, and it worked. So we'd tell customers, this is how much your price is based on a property a quarter the size, and we didn't get much resistance right from the start, and it was great pricing. And if you factor in your man-hour rates and everything, it's great. So we've been good, and then we raise our prices. Probably 3 or 4 years ago, we've been raising our prices a couple percentages every year, and we're still maintaining a great margins on that. Requires a lot of work, waking up at 4 or earlier, making sure everybody on your team is available and their trucks are going to start, reminding them to warm their trucks up the night before, morning of. I mean, it's a process for everybody to, if they're really into it. And so one of the things that I do to keep my guys engaged in all that kind of stuff is I pretty much let them know you cannot get lazy in this time of the year. If you could lose your job, like snow removal, there's high liability stuff, so you've got to be there when I call you. You've got to make sure your trucks are starting. If we're constantly having issues with you, we will kindly ask you for the keys to the truck and we'll wait for you in the spring. Or if you do something that's really bad while out there pushing, you could lose your job. So be mindful, be careful, be professional, do a good job. Be your own person, waking up. Nobody's going to wake you up in the morning. You know, we might send a text the night before, hey guys, be ready in the morning. The forecast says it's going to snow. And I'm doing that to make sure we're all prepared and to help out a little bit. But if I forget or I'm on vacation, which I usually do sometimes around the winter time, I'm not here to do that for you. You got to do it. And so the team we have for winter, in doing it all these years, has come to the point where like we can rely on our guys. You know what I mean? So a lot of work has gone into the snow division, and it will take people who are just starting into that to get better and better and better. And you know, things happen, right? Trucks break down, plows break down, you know, stuff like that happens. And so even there'll be time, I mean, thankfully, knock on wood, we haven't really had to reach out to another company and say, hey, can you help me out and plow this property for me? But other companies have done it to me, and I know they've been big companies. I know there's big companies out there, and they've called me, and because we refer work to each other every once in a while, and so they've called me saying, hey, we're in a little bit of a jam. Can you do this property today? Tell me how much it is, or just get it done and send me the bill. I don't care. It just needs to be done. And we've done stuff like that. So you never know. Like snow is a big thing. So I think your pricing should match the level of preparedness that you need to be for the wintertime. But those early days when I first started, I had that big account, and if it was snowing like every other day, that's like a $2,000 a week check. When I was by myself at my small shop in Provo, and I didn't have hardly any bills, you know what I mean, to get through the winter. So that was enough to kind of pay me and pay the bills and kind of get through the winter smoothly. And I was doing that property for years by myself. And as we started adding more accounts, I was still doing that one because it was just, I got to the point where when I first started that property, it took me like 6 hours to get it all done. But by the time, you know, years and years got by, I got better trucks. I was getting it done in like 2 hours. And by then we were charging like $800 a push, you know? So I was getting faster, better, and still charging a bunch. And then there were times where I had help. I said, hey, I'm going to have somebody do one section of this, and we were getting done in like an hour. You know what I mean? 2 people, 2 different trucks in an hour. And it was great. And that's how it should be. You know, you shouldn't. I love it when I'm at big properties and we're in and out in like an hour or 2 hours. You know, we have guys who they'll plow like a gas station and take, you know, 2.5, 3 hours. Not that they're bad workers; they're great workers. They take a lot of pride in making sure it's like safe and everything. The thing is, we try to worry about getting to the other people, right? But yeah, we do some car washes, so there's a lot of like hoses, right? That from the vacuums and stuff that are just kind of like, sometimes they're not put in the right spot. So you got to be careful when you're plowing because we don't want to break anything. So anyway, yeah, snow. What we're doing right now is we're sending in a couple of trucks at a time to get the plows serviced, make sure everything's working, make sure the hydraulic fluid is good. I've been there and watched people do the the plow servicing, and it's really easy, like really easy. Um, but they still charge like what, under $200, but 200 or less, but that's still a lot of money. For like, if you actually watch what they do, it seems like it's a lot. It's too much money, but I just like making sure that somebody at a place that I respect that can that knows how to fix stuff. I take it where I actually bought my plows, so when they're doing the service on it, I feel really confident that they know what they're doing. And even though I've seen them do it one time, it's like all they did was basically open the hydraulic thing, pour some in there, make sure the rams work on both sides, and they do measuring. They measure some of the blades to make sure it's like good or whatever. They do something with the springs, super easy, and then they're like, it's all set. And I'm like, damn, that was $150. But again, like I said, knowing that somebody looked at it, checked it out, made sure the wiring's working, I think it's worth it. It's a cost at the beginning of the season, just like all other services. You got to make sure you've got your, stuff, whether it's inventory or the equipment needed to do the job. Same thing with the plows. So we will see how we do this year. It's so unpredictable when I'm like, oh, all right, we're gonna kill it because we've got all these plows and trucks and everything, and then we don't. So maybe I'll play a mind game with Mother Nature and say she ain't doing nothing this year. Maybe I'll start thinking like that, and still have my team ready. But it's like every year, right? Those that do snow clearing, you know this, but like 3 people from your team will swear on their mother's life that it's going to snow like crazy this year because they woke up on an early Saturday, November Saturday, and it was brisk. So they think, oh, it's going to snow like crazy this year. Or they look at the mountain and there's a little bit of white on there, and they're like, oh, it's really early for snow up there. That means it's going to be a great winter. I mean, they'll say anything, and you just never know. You know what I mean? I did ask ChatGPT what it thought. It said that roughly we get about 56 inches of snow this year. Each year, not this year, each year, average for my county. 56 inches of snow, which is pretty decent. Like, that seems pretty decent. But the problem is we get like a lot of snow on the mountain benches, and I think that messes up the average. So why don't you, for fun, ask ChatGPT what the average snowfall, what the average snowfall is per year in your county, and let me know what it is. And does it always snow? Does it snow a lot there? But yeah, it said 56 inches here, and then it said, so my guess, because I was like, hey, what is your guess of if it's gonna snow a lot or not? Being a snow plowing company during the wintertime, do you think I'll be busy? So give me your best guess. And it basically said we get about 56 inches average for the year, and this year ChatGPT predicts it's going to be a little bit less than the average. So it said like something like 48 inches, which I think is still pretty good. But again, it's just a guess. You know what I mean? Like, it's a big old guess. But I thought that it was going to pull a lot of like data from, news reports from somewhere here, and I think it did, and even with that, it said, predicts a less than average snowfall, which sucks. But even if it said I predict a higher than average snowfall, I still wouldn't believe it. So I'm not really believing that it's going to be less than average. Um, but I know better than to guess. But it has been colder, in my opinion. Well, we've had the warmest November on record. So there's that. So that blows away anything. But the days that it does get cold here, like today, is cold. And it looks like winter right now. And so, I could kind of see why like some of the workers would come up to you and go, "Dude, it's going to be a crazy winter this year." Because if I didn't know any better, I would probably think that too. You know what I mean? But it's just you just never know. So, but one day, so here's the thing. A friend of mine, Tom, came to visit. Well, he came here for some kind of conference or training session somewhere. So he made the trip over to my shop, and so we had lunch. And he said that normally they get, I don't know how many inches of snow every year. And he's been doing snow for probably around the same amount of years that I've been doing. And he said that last year he finally caught a break, and it was like snowing like crazy. So he made a killing. And I was like, "Holy shit, you caught a break." I'm waiting for my break. He goes, "I know. When you get your break, you're gonna see what I'm talking about." Because it was crazy. And we're ready for that, right? Like if it snows a lot, we're gonna do so good. So we have a great team, man. And that's one thing I've always been lucky. I've always had a great team. Um, even when I even when I had some bad apples, I still, for the most part, had a good team. Still, I've had good workers, and so I'm really lucky in that way. Um, and it's no different with the snow. I think our snow guys are now. I do spoil my snow people, so like my plow guys don't really shovel residentials, so this year will be a little bit of a test if it does snow and I don't have a lot of snow workers, shovel guys. I will have to see how my plow guys do shoveling. But I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good about it because we have a small team, this smaller than normal, and so um, I've talked to a few of the guys, not all of them, some, letting them know, hey, we're not having that many people this year, so I need your help doing residentials, but it's we're all gonna get paid if it snows a lot. Griff, what up, man? Are you guys still doing fall cleanup still? Yes, yes. We were super busy this week. I don't know how busy we are next week. I'm actually curious now. Let me see. But yeah, I mean, leaf cleanups and leaves were falling a little bit late than normal. At least that's what we're hearing from customers. They're like, "Hey, not yet. It's still leaves are still on our trees." So I'm gonna put first week, the 24th to the 28th. Oof, yeah, there's not that much work. Not that much work, but everything we do have is leaf cleanups. Leaf cleanups. So, and it is Thanksgiving, right? What Thanksgiving's the 27th. Do you do leaf cleanups until snow flies? Same here in Iowa. Leaves came down later than normal. Yeah, yeah. We will do. We keep our garden guys and garden trucks all winter. Um, well, obviously we keep them throughout the winter, but we keep them ready and stocked all December. And we kind of keep one stocked even in January and February, so in case it's a nice day and somebody wants something done. How do you price leaf cleanups? Good question. Let me see. We do hourly. Um, let's see. I'm gonna click on a leaf cleanup. So we do $90 per man per hour on a leaf cleanup and a $50 disposal fee, which tends to work out pretty good. The problem is every once in a while there'll be like, we need the dump trailer for the leaves. Um, and so sometimes when I see that, I'm like, damn, why don't we do like a percentage of the job? So what we should be doing is $90 per man per hour for leaf cleanups, and then 10% disposal fee, right? So how much does that come out to? Man, where's my phone? Let's see. Oh shoot, it's in the kitchen. Oh well. But the truth is, on leaf cleanups, the average price. What would be the average price? How would I find that? Let me do services, leaf cleanup, hourly or flat rate. We don't really do flat rates because we don't look at the properties beforehand. All right. So they range from 800. So right, if it was an $800 job, 10% be $80. That's better than 50. Let me see if we've changed any of the prices for disposal fees. I don't know if are we charging disposal fee? Better be. Let's see. Yeah, they're in the invoice and they're not in the product total. So we are charging. So that $800 price I told you is with the $50 disposal fee. So yeah, I mean, I think it works. It works pretty good. $90 per man per hour and a $50 disposal fee. It works. That's good numbers right there. We also offer a 4 and 8 hour block. So let me type those in and see. Well, that's hard to say that we did leaf cleanups this month because those could actually be weeding style jobs, you know. Let me see though. Leaf. I'm gonna take those off. Oh, 8 hour block. Let's do a 4 hour block. Okay. So we got a lot of 4 hour blocks. I like 4 hour blocks. So they're. We recently changed our pricing. I wonder how many of the new price we've done. Not many. So we're at $390 for 4 hour block. Man, I need my calculator. 390. But now we're charging $470 plus a disposal fee. Yeah, the hourly one is better. Because that way, if you go past 4 hours, you don't need approval. You just keep going. We're on a 4 hour block. If you're still not done, which I don't know if that's the case. They don't call me for that, and I haven't heard that that's an issue. They have to get approval from the customer to go over a 4 hour block because the customer is budgeted for $395 to $470. But you can do that too. But I think hourly for leaf cleanups is the best. The only other issue is the disposal fee. For anybody that's like doesn't have that many customers, where you have a better relationship with your customers, I would say $90 per man per hour for my leaf cleanups, and the disposal fee is $50 or 10%, whichever one's higher. I would do that, or even say on the disposal fee, I'll have to figure that out when we finish. But the minimum is 50, but it could be as high. It depends on how many trips or whatever, whatever you guys are doing. When we have a lot of leaves, the garden or the workers will call the ops manager, who will drive the big dump trailer to them. And see, that's a cost, right? Now you got a new worker there. So what I kind of jokingly mentioned this to my ops manager. I said, when you are driving to that job site to get to, you should be clocking in to that job. You should say, hey, so and so, I'm on my way. Put on the app that I'm working with you right now. So now you're paying for 3 man hours, right? For 3 workers for that time that he's driving to you. And I think that should cover the extra cost of having the dump trailer, because we can't charge more on the dump, right? We already said it's $50. We can't say, well, now it's $100. If we had a better relationship with our customers, we probably could, but a lot of these customers we don't know. It's like, I hate that. I want to know them all, but it's really hard because they'll just call us for a leaf cleanup, and we've never met them or don't know them, and it's hard to say, well, hey, we actually got to change our prices. So we got to stay firm with our prices, but we do say per man per hour. And when we're driving over there, we're actually bringing another guy. So I think that that's totally acceptable to do. And I've said it kind of joking but serious. When you say something as a joke, and then if the team goes, hey, that's actually what we should do, it's like, okay, yeah, let's do it. But it was kind of like, yeah, maybe not. I don't know. But I think we should. What's up? Been a while. I think we are done with leaves on Tuesday. What's going on, Fred? Cameron? And Sod Fathers, what's up? Tuesday, so I wouldn't give a date on when we're going to be done, just because you never know, right? Like, what if on Wednesday, a bunch of people call you? But here's an interesting thing. You guys want to hear a funny story? A customer called me, called the office. When was it? It was Monday. All right, this Monday, and said, hey, you guys never did my sprinkler winterization, and I sent you guys an email on this day, and I don't think you guys ever came. So my office manager looked, and she found the email, and she said, yeah, you're right, customer, you sent the email. Somehow it fell through the cracks. We didn't see it. So, and we've stopped doing winterizations. So you're going to need to find somebody else. And you know what she said? The customer, she said, no. If my pipes freeze, you guys are responsible because I asked you to do it. So we'll just leave it at that. Click. She hung up. So the office manager tells me this, and I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, first of all, it would never hold up in court. Okay, I know that. Okay, I understand. So everybody going, no, that's you're not responsible. I get it. We're not responsible. But I still understand what the customer is saying, right? Like, she's not happy because she did send a request, just nobody got back to her. And now we're not doing blowouts, and she wanted it done. So here's what we did. I said, all right, listen. We can do a blowout for her, and we're going to charge her regular price because the weather has not froze. Like, it hasn't, like, the weather has not fell below 30, 32 degrees anywhere here. So we could still do the blowout, it's just now we're going to rent the machine, and we're going to pay for it for one customer. I've got to pay the worker to do it. We're going to be losing money. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to tell her we're going to do it on Wednesday, and we're going to send out a blast to everybody saying, hey, we're going to do blowouts for one more day in November. So if you haven't had it done, now's your time. Guys, $4,000 worth of blowouts came in. And we got them done Wednesday. So we did it Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So in 3 days, we did $4,000 in blowouts. We still have the air compressor because we didn't bring it back like an idiot. I forgot to bring it back Friday. So I got to bring it back on Monday because they were closed Saturday and Sunday. And I was like, well, if somebody calls over this weekend, well, maybe, I guess we could do it, but nobody's called. So that's why it's I wouldn't put a time on when things stop, just because you never know, right? Like you just never know unless you're planning on like laying people off, and then you have no choice. Cameron, I've been busy mowing and mulching leaves last week. Yeah, us too. If you get finished mowing, you can get a break and drink water if you're hot. That's really funny. I think last time you said that got a lot of laughs. So yeah, I mean, that was a cool thing, right? It's like $4,000 in blowouts, and then when I thought back, I go, you know what? We got this. We did all this $4,000 worth of work because of one customer who said, you know, we're responsible if the pipes freeze and break because we didn't do it, because we didn't get it. We didn't see her email. So it's really funny how things can happen like that. And that really helped us out, man. That was a nice little bump in revenue that we were not expecting. Came out of the blue, and it was nice. So I love it when things like that. That's the funny thing. It's like things happen that are good when they're not expected. But like when we brainstormed on this great snow deal that we thought, this is too good. Like, are we going to lose our butts by doing this offer? We're like, who cares? Let's do it. We send it out, like we're like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be crazy. And not one person accepted it. Not one person wanted this great, what we're calling Black Friday deal. Not one person. And yet, let's do a blowout in the middle of November, and let's do it for one customer. We're probably gonna lose we're gonna waste money getting the machine, bringing back a worker for a day, because my sprinkler techs are expensive. And we're gonna go do it. And you know what? Let's try and get another one. Let's try and get more so that we could at least recoup some money. And then boom, like something we didn't think was gonna happen is just killed. That's the best. That is the best. So what's going on? Yes, I remember. That's hilarious and makes me laugh. Last time I said that made me laugh. Let's see here. So what's going on, guys? Any questions? It's nice to hear from you too, Griff. I don't know if you're still on or what, bro, but we need to catch up because I want to know how you did this year, bro. I mean, when was the last time we talked? Like, was it May? Something like that? Basically, I remember we were talking when I got the property next door, and I think that was in May. Yeah. And then I know you've been busy ever since. Yeah, I just want to know. I want to know how everybody's year's been going, man. Mine has been going pretty okay. It's been going okay. I messed up. There was something I messed up on, and I learned my lesson because that's what you do, right? When you mess up, you learn from it. You got to do your price. You got to figure out your prices this time of the year for next year, every year, every single year. And we usually do a good job of that. Usually. But I think I got caught off guard last year because the city just came down on me around this time last year. It was literally this exact time last year where the city grabbed my neck. It was like, we are, you think we're in a free country? You're out of your mind. You welcome to the, Nazi Germany in this part of the town here. Because you can't do this, you can't do that. And I was like, what is going on? And it just shook my world so much that I just stopped thinking about the business. I just forgot. And this is around the time where I'm always looking for what is our expenses and what do our price need to be? What do our employees make? How much do we need to make? And blah blah blah. Like the man hour rate. I dropped the ball, guys. And when I bought this property, my mortgage went up compared to my rent that I was paying, right? So like that doubled. I bought the property next door, which actually didn't happen until this year, but still. I ended up renting another location because I thought the city was making me get out of here, which they were trying to do. So I had to have another place in case they won and I was on my butt. And then I was in a lease for a year. So right there with those three things, my costs went up $6,000. Just with that. Actually probably $7,000. Bought 3 brand new trucks. That was another $2,000. Because of those 3 trucks, and we got all our other trucks that were kind of limping along, we've got them all re-registered, fixed up. So I went from having like 16 trucks to 23. So my insurance went up like crazy amount of money. Like $1,500. All these things were adding up and I wasn't paying attention. I was not paying attention. Because we had all the trucks ready, obviously we had more workers because we had to fill the trucks up, which was fine. That's the only thing that actually worked out for us, was that we had more trucks, so we had more workers, and they were all bringing in money. But the problem is they were bringing in money for $80 a man hour, not 90, which is what we needed. That's a big difference. So actually we need 94 to be exact. So we were bringing in 80 and just kind of going along. Everything's tight. Like we're just paying for stuff. Like it was bad. Oh, that reminds me. I'm having issues with my bookkeeping, and I gotta check to see if they've been working on it. It's been a week since I thought we've agreed that they were gonna make some changes. So anyway, that's a whole nother thing. Cameron, if you have a long day for mowing and cutting yards, you may go to your house, take a shower, and if you're sweaty, dirty, or stink. Do you need a 2017 Exmark Laser ZX series or 16 Skag Turf Tiger 2? I don't think so. I don't think I need that. No, we stick with our grandstands and 21-inch Toro walk behinds. The reason is it's just easier to fix for us, stuff that we're using. So like we have all the parts, not all the parts, but you know what I mean? Like we have the same parts for all the mowers. I don't like mix matching too much because we've got to get a belt specifically for this one when we've got 4 belts over here for these mowers. So I like to keep things, the same for that reason. Last week I bought a 2016 Skag Turf Tiger 2 for sale for mowing yards. I'm gonna see what that looks like if I can. I'm gonna put that in Google. See what kind of mower that is. Okay. So do you do like big commercial type properties that you need those big sit down mowers? Um, I don't think we do anything that big that needs a sit down mower. Um, our setups are small with the trucks, right? So I can't have a sit down mower. It's just too big. It's too big for us. We just focus on the residentials. And even the commercial stuff we do is still fairly small. Um, we do a couple of big properties, but I still don't think it requires us to have a sit down mower. Um, yeah, we do too many residentials. But I want to get into commercial. Although it's a scary game, man. It's scary when you're waiting for checks. So I recently, um, back in September, the first week of September, we finished a big job for Select Health, this big hospital. And we went through the bidding process. We got approved. Everything was approved. Um, and we did the job. Huge job. I think at one point I counted the workers. We had probably, oh man, it's 6, 7, 8. I think 11 workers. 1 or 2 days there. It was like a 4-day job. I think. Yeah, 3 full days, and I think we went back on the fourth day, just to make sure everything's done. And then obviously there were some little tweaks that they wanted, so I had to send a worker to go do stuff for like few hours at a time. Maybe that happened 2 times, right? So I was waiting on this giant check. And well, we submitted it, and we got an automatic email saying, "Hey, we received your invoice, so it will go through the payment process, and you'll get paid." Great. So they called us for another job, right? A smaller job. This was 3 weeks later, and we're like, "You betcha, yeah, we're gonna do it." So we did another job. It was a small job. It was $2,000, and we got it done. We submitted the invoice like we did the first time. We got the automatic email that said, "Hey, we've got your invoice. Thank you. You'll be getting paid soon." Whatever. Great. Um, 4 weeks later, we get a check for the little job that we did for the $2,000 check, but we did not get our check for the big job. And I'm like, what the heck? Because now I've waited, almost, it's at that point, since it was the first week of September, and we got that check the last week of October. So I had already waited, 45, maybe 50 days. And we're like, we got the little check? How's that possible? And I'm a new worker for them, or vendor, I don't know what you call it. I'm a new contractor for them, so I didn't want to bug them. But I'm like, this is weird. So I called and I said, "Hey, look, we got the little check, but we didn't get the big check. Like, and we sent it a month, 3 weeks earlier than the little check. Like, what's going on?" They're like, "We never received that invoice." And I'm like, "We got confirmation that you did." They're like, "Yeah, that was an automatic message, but that doesn't mean we got it. We didn't get it." And I'm like, what in the world? So, and the irony about this whole thing is, like, I'm waiting for that big check. First of all, by a lot of the rental equipment that we used for that job was on a 30-day, like, you have 30 days to pay it. So much time went by that I had to pay it. So I had to fork out the money to pay it without getting this big check. Obviously, the payroll, right? I mean, I'm talking 3 full days, and this was a weekend job, so everybody was on overtime, okay? And so that was paid a long time ago, but that's normal, whatever. But I still had to pay it. You know what I mean? And then the materials. There was a ton of materials that had to be paid, and that also was on a 30 days. Not all of them. So I would say I would say less than half was on a 30 days. Still a lot of money. And that passed due, so I had to pay it. So I'm out all this money, all this job money, and I didn't get this big check yet. So we call and they're like, they were being really nice. Right from the start, they were freaking awesome. Like, okay, because they could kind of see what I was talking about, that I got the confirmation. It's been an approved job. So they were really nice. The ones who answered the phone immediately were really nice. But I wasn't getting any checks. Like they were like, we still got to bring this to somebody higher up and blah blah blah. So I had to do some hoop jumping. Anyway, about 2 weeks later, which was yesterday, no, Friday, finally got the check. Finally got the check. So even with a big, well-known company, things still can happen, and that's what's scary about these big commercial jobs. I mean, the whole time I'm thinking, like, are they trying to not pay me? Like, is that possible? And if so, like, could I put a lien on the freaking on that business? Can I do that? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what to do here. I'm like, what am I going to do if they don't want to pay me? I'm screwed. Anyway, they finally paid. But I'm just like, dude, that's crazy. The irony about that whole thing is I have Select Health. We're on a healthcare group plan here at work, right? That I have to pay Select Health to pay, because we're on a group plan for the business. So people on healthcare, and I have to pay them by law. I have to pay them. Uh, but yet they can take their sweet time to pay me back. I was like, I just was not feeling that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's ironic. You know what I mean? That's like the same company that is like super expensive and I have to pay it. I can't get out of it. I'll be in big trouble if I don't pay that. They can take their time and pay me super late. Like, yeah, I get it. When you sign an agreement, you sign or whatever, and they're like, you're on a 40, 50, 60-day wait, whatever. I get that. But when that time has passed, nothing happens. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. I don't like that. But that's what it is. That's what commercial is. You know what I mean? Cameron, my friend John, do commercial residential properties. I also bought a 2017 Exmark Laser. I want to see what that mower looks like. Yeah, I just, I mean, the one of the mowers that I really liked, that's a sit down one, was the Grasshopper. I don't know what kind or what company that is. So is that a walk behind? The Exmark? It's hard to. Oh no, it's a sit down. Yeah, yeah. I just don't have properties that big. I some of my competitors here have a bunch of walkers, and they customize their truck setups that are similar to mine, um, to be able to park it in there. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, no, I like the grandstand setup, and yeah. But when I'm talking about I want to do more commercial stuff, it's more like installation, more like small businesses kind of thing. Not anything giant. I'm kind of curious. What is a big commercial property that you do? Like, you maybe don't need to tell me the name of the company, but like, what is it they do? Like, is it a hospital? Um, I got echo and still trimmers, blowers. Are you trying to sell your business, Cameron, or just your equipment? You know, that is another thing I do need to talk about someday. Maybe not today, but who knows? I always start talking about anything, right? One of the ways that I've grown my business over the years was buying customers off of people, and I haven't done that in a couple years. Like I think the last time I did it was 2021. No, 2022. My crew trim while I mow yards. So in 2022, that was the last time I bought, like a high school person's list, right? Their client list. And we need to do that again. I used to pick up so many customers that way. So what happened was the following year, so in 2023, we tried. We tried calling on Google, like looking up any lawn care business, calling up, asking if they want to sell their customers. And everybody said no. So once that happened, I think that's when we kind of just like stopped doing it. Like, you know what I mean? But we need to get back into that. Griff, gyms, distribution centers, apartments, townhomes, complexes. The right apartment complex are big, easy money. At least here, yeah. That's what I want to do. Definitely, I want to do that too. We had a bid for this thing was huge. Um, yeah, I think it was like we were supposed to plow the university. Um, I don't remember what it was now. It was huge. It took like a week to come up with the bid pricing on mowing, garden work, um, plowing. It would have been amazing. Would have been probably too big for us, but we still bid it, man. We still tried, and we didn't get it. And we had it was one of those things where we spent a lot of time calculating how many people we're gonna need. Like we would have actually been making good money, and they would have been taken care of. Like it would have been good for everybody, I think. But it was a lot of money because it was just so big. Um, it wasn't just one place. It was like 20 places, but one of them was the university, and that was huge just in itself. And then it was like plazas and so many things. And it was like the same people owned it all, which is kind of crazy. In fact, I believe on that one, they did say um, it was a famous person that owns, like one of the owners was famous. And we weren't, if we found out who it was, we weren't allowed to say anything. Um, so that was kind of interesting. And we never found out who it was. Um, if you got that huge account, would you grow and add more people to accommodate for the big account or cut back smaller yards? So, no, we would definitely hire more people for that, and that's kind of what we did. We do a couple of chains, restaurant chains here, and those workers know that if something happens with that account, if we lose that account, I think there's four people in that division, and we told them if we lose this account, we probably have to lose two of you guys. So make sure it looks good. Your job literally depends on it. It's the kind of like that. That kind of is the attitude, right? So if we knew we had, like, if we got that big account, and that was probably 2 years ago, so I don't remember exactly how many people we would have needed. Um, but it would be the same thing, right? So it's like, hey, you 4, 6 people who are taking care of these properties, if you guys mess up or the quality's bad and we lose this account, we probably like your whole division will be gone. So I don't know, like we've only done that with one team, right? Because it's a great account. We have some great accounts right now, and we've already got approval for next year that we're going to do them again next year. So it's like awesome. And they know. I mean, do they remember that every day? I don't know, but I remember telling them. And it was it was at the big employee meeting one day. It was like, this is how important this job is, this account is. If you guys do bad quality and we get fired from them, two of you are going to get fired. Like we don't have any jobs to keep you guys busy. So that's kind of what I would do. I think we do. The reason why I want to get into commercial a little bit is because we do have all these residentials that pay every day. You know what I mean? So it's like those big commercial accounts that take months to pay. We can survive it because of all the jobs we do from the residentials. The other thing that I'm starting to get really, I don't want to say used to, but like something that's been helping me out a lot is those big commercial accounts, those big checks that still coming in this time of year. I'm going to get another one next month. Technically, I should get one this month and next month. And that's, those big checks can kind of float us through those months in the winter for bills. And it's not going to pay for everything, you know what I mean? But they'll pay for a lot. It will pay for a lot. And if I had more of those and they come in during the wintertime, that would just make it like we're still bringing in money. You know what I mean? Because during those months, we do cut as much cost as we can. So if we got some big checks, that could get us through the winter a lot faster. So I've been like, we kind of had that last year, kind of, sort of. It was the first time. But this year I'm still owed a lot of checks and we're going into winter. So I feel like it's helping me out a lot. So I can imagine if we had some bigger accounts. And we're handling these accounts like so good. I went to a conference one time and one of my biggest competitors out here, he sold. He's not in the business anymore, but the business is still around. And he told me one time, well, he didn't tell me, he told the group. I actually went out with this guy a different time, a couple years later. But the first time I heard he was speaking, I went to his lecture at a green conference in Sandy, and he said that he quotes cities, right? Cities. And there was a couple of not new cities, but there's a couple of cities that were growing and they needed somebody to do the landscaping, maintenance and stuff. And he said that he loves to do the bids for that, but if it's going to require over 15% of his labor, he doesn't take it on. That's his magic number, was like 15%. I don't know if it's changed since that day, which was probably 2011 when I heard him talk like that, maybe 2012. He was saying that his magic number was like 15%, or he could have said 13. I don't remember. He could have said 10, but I feel like I want to say 15. Because at 15% labor, if they cancel on you, it really is detrimental to the business, right? Like a lot will get devastated because of that. So he doesn't take on anything that's 15% or more. Which is interesting, right? Like you can really only say that if you've been through that and something happened and you know what the problem is, right? Like I know that if I can't pay my guys through winter, I can't pay them. I'm not going to make a promise. I'm not going to take out a loan. It's just not going to happen because I've been there. I've done it. Now, I will take out a loan as long as it's to cover bills and stuff, but not to cover payroll. I will not do it because payroll is a monster that keeps coming, and if you can't afford it, a loan is just going to prolong it, and you're going to be in trouble later. So I've had bad winters where that has bit me too bad. So I know better than to get a loan for payroll only, right? Not gonna happen. And so I wonder what happened with him, where he knows that 15%, if he loses that account, they're screwed. I wonder what happened, that he knows that. Are you gonna do some squats? Yeah, I do squats what is it, Monday? Every Monday. 17 years ago, I used to run Shindawa equipment and still equipment. I used to run Shindawa equipment and still equipment. So anyway, I'm going easy on hiring right now. There's been somebody who's been calling the office a lot, and some people want to hire him in my business, and I haven't met him yet, but like, we don't need a landscaper right now, you know. So that's another thing I learned. It's like, we don't need anybody right now. So even if somebody came with like the best resume, references, whatever, I know better than to hire them. I've gotten burned before through the winter time. I've hired somebody, and then come winter time, and I paid them through the winter when I was like, you know what, this is an investment. I'm investing in this employee because come spring, I'm gonna kill it. And guess what? Got paid great through the winter for being wintertime. Got offered a job in April and left after working a week. After working a week in the spring. Not doing it again. I've also loaned money in the wintertime to a worker who, promised me he was gonna work, he was gonna pay it all, or he was just gonna, like, I paid him in advance for him to work through the winter, and he worked for me all. I knew this guy. I knew him, so I thought I could trust him. He was desperate. He told me his whole situation, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to help you. I'll do it. I'll do it for you. I'll pay you in advance for pretty much the whole winter. And I don't know if you got to get a nighttime job or what, but you're not going to get paid anymore because I'm paying it all in one thing right now. He did it. 2 weeks later, he quit. Of course, he used the whole, I can't, if I don't have any money, I need money, blah, 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 blah. But you know what I mean? It's like, well, I think I was the idiot on that one. I shouldn't have did that, So now I learned. I know not to do that anymore. And there's probably, I'm not saying every mistake I've ever made, I learned from it. I've probably avoided things because I was aware that something might go wrong there. But I honestly thought I was helping this guy out. I could trust him. Well, it turned out I helped him for sure. He just didn't help me. So anyway, guys, that's what's going on here. Again, I just want to let everybody know I'm still alive. Things are going fairly good. We're going into wintertime. Things are going okay with the shop and the yard. I mean, it's going as good as it can without actually getting to the work stuff done yet, because we're not there yet. I still haven't gone to we're still in the planning phase with the engineer in the city and going back and forth on what they want in here. And then I've got to go to the planning department and let them know what we're doing. And then I've got to go to the building department and get the permits. So it's a lot. And it's just like, damn it, is it too much for somebody? No, they don't put too much on somebody when that's the way to do it. Like, that's one thing I'm trying to talk myself into. It's like, I feel like it's too big for me to do, but I think to myself, that's the process, and it can't be too big for somebody to do. You know what I mean? If that's the way you do it, if that's the only path, it can't be too big that somebody can't do it, right? It's just not going to be easy. Thankfully, I have this business that brings in revenue that will hopefully get it done. So that's the way I'm looking at it. Because when all this first happened, I'm like, man, the weight of this is too much. And it can be too heavy, like that's for sure. Like, I'm stressed and anxiety filled and don't know what's going to happen if I'm late or whatever, you know what I mean? But honestly, the city's not going to make a path to something that you have to do if you want to get your business up to code that's too much pressure. Like, it feels like a lot of pressure, but you got to learn how to do it. And then once you figure out what you got to do it. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. And that's what I'm going through right now. So, but I feel okay. And I also feel stronger every week that goes by. I'm going through the process. I feel like, okay, I'm not that stressed anymore. I feel calm and I feel peace now. I start thinking of like, hey, when it gets done, how amazing is this going to be? It's going to be amazing. The way I'm looking at it too, it's like when I get this yard done and eventually the property next door, because I own the property next door, but I don't have it attached to this property yet because of all the city requirements and stuff. But eventually, when I get those two things done, I feel like that will be the base of my wealth, right? I will then be in the wealth stage, right? So it's like these two properties together is going to be worth over $1 million if it's not already. You know what I mean? But once it's set up with the drains and everything the way it's supposed to be a real, any business can come in here and do whatever business they want to do, it's going to be worth a lot of money. Not to mention my business, the value will grow immensely knowing that this yard could be part of it. So combine those two things, and it's in a growing part of the town. That's why the city's making such a big deal with me here, because the front runner train is going to be right here. This is downtown, and so it's when things start growing, like everything gets elevated from whatever, when new properties start getting built and all that stuff, it's going to be crazy, and this is going to be a really good spot. So I'm kind of looking at that, right? It's like I'm dumping money into this place, but it's like it's basically a bank. It's not like just paying rent and then eventually have to leave and then it's gone. No, this is still mine, and we're dumping money into these, fixing it and changing it and getting it up to code, and it's going to be worth a lot of money once it's done. So that's kind of what I'm looking at too. So anyway, guys, thanks for the questions and talking with me. I will catch you guys on the next one.